Hi everyone, it's Carrie from the Wilderness Center. Thank you for joining me for Soil Science, Your Wild Classroom. This is lesson 2, soil problems. Because believe it or not, soil can have a bad day. But we all learned in the first lesson about the different horizons of soil and how they're very important. So why would soil have a bad day? What are some things that would make soil have some problems? Well, we're going to talk about two different soil problems. We're going to talk about erosion and compaction. So you can look at these two pictures on the screen. Look at the picture that says erosion. You can probably see a creek where there's a bunch of trees and debris in the creek bed, and you see a big wall where the roots are exposed, and you can see a bunch of soil that's exposed or sticking out. Okay, so let's compare that to compaction before we even learn what these things are. Compaction looks like a bunch of my favorite kiddos taking a hike. That doesn't look so bad, right? Guess we'll have to dig a little deeper. So does this mean we can't go hiking if compaction is bad and there's kids taking a walk? Absolutely not. Please keep hiking. Head outside and check out all this soil in person. So see if you can find some soil problems when you're taking a walk. Okay, let's start with erosion. So what makes this bad for soil? First, let's talk about what erosion is. Erosion is when pieces get moved away, put somewhere else by wind or water. So in this creek bed, the water rushing through the creek grabbed a hold of all of those little pieces of soil and pushed them downstream. So it's moving, the moving of particles, we'll say, right? So when it moved the particles, that means where the soil once was is gone. So if the soil is gone, what does that mean for the plants that were growing there? Look closely at that cut part where you can see all the soil, and there's all these little roots hanging down from the top. Where are those roots getting their nutrients? They're not, because the soil is gone. All right, here's another example. You can see this one really clearly. This is at a beach. Okay, so maybe some big waves came crashing against the beach, and look at all those plants. They have no soil to dig into. They have no way to get their roots in, to hold them in place, to get the nutrients. So what happened to the plants? What's going to happen? What do you think will happen to the plants? Probably not so good, right? But not all erosion is bad. I don't want you to think that every time something is eroded, it's just this horrible thing. Wind can also erode rock and soil, because that's just all particles, right? So there's some really neat things that erosion has done. Here are some arches. These are caused by erosion, or even the Grand Canyon is caused by erosion. So erosion can take place on a great big scale, or also just the teeny tiny scale. Kind of neat stuff. All right, let's talk quickly about compaction. So we're back to these kids walking down a trail. So what is compaction, and why are they compacting the soil? Well, in compaction, remember that soil's got air spaces in there, right? And air space allows water to flow. It gives space for the roots to grow. But every time that we step on a trail, we're pushing all of those air spaces out. So we're actually making soil more dense. We are removing air space. That might be kind of hard to explain. So let's talk about pillows. When you get a new pillow and it's super fluffy and oh, it's really comfortable and great, and then maybe you lay on it over and over and over again, and it gets squished. You have compacted your pillow. You have pushed the air spaces out between whatever was inside that pillow, and now it's flat, like the dog. So you might have to get a new pillow, but can we get new soil? I don't know. So during this lesson, you are going to be doing an experiment that I think is really fun, but I wanted to talk about it a little bit in case you don't quite understand the directions. So you are going to take a paper plate or some sort of plate with a rim so that you can catch the water, and in the center of it, collect a lump of soil. Now, during this lesson and lesson 3 and lesson 4, you're going to be studying soil. It would be really cool, and you're doing experiments. It'd be really cool if you had all the same soil so that you can compare them. I mean, you can do 3 different experiments that go right to the same soil, so you can learn about that one soil really well. So keep that in mind when you go outside to collect your soil sample. So for this experiment, you're going to get a plate, you're going to put a lump of it right in the middle, and then you're going to stick something into the soil. It could be toothpicks like I have in this picture. It could be broken up pieces of spaghetti stuck in there, just something thin and that you can poke in and it'll stay there. Maybe you'll come up with something else to use about halfway in. So maybe not all the way down to the plate, but a little bit. Then what you're going to do is you're going to start adding water, and you're going to dump right on top of that soil and see what happens to those toothpicks and that soil. So if those toothpicks are plant roots, if there's too much water, what happens to the soil? What happens to those plant roots? Okay, awesome. All right, so you guys are going to be heading outside at some point to get some samples of soil that you can use for your experiments, and you're going to be doing a compaction experiment too, so that'll be kind of neat. So when you do that, I just want to remind you, as always, to be careful, learn something, and have fun. Thank you for joining me for lesson 2 of soil science, and I'll see you next week.